Hello everyone, Draco here, and today we are going to be learning about dice. There are 7 different types of dice, and I'm going to be doing a brief informational guide as to what they are and what they're typically used for. But before I can do that, I need to be in a different spot. Alright, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start each one at a time. From the biggest to the smallest being last. First off, we have our 20-sided dice. And you can tell that it is because of its shape. You can also tell because the biggest number is the 20. This is normally used to determine whether or not you can do something, which this being an 8 plus whatever my modifiers are, which is in stats, and that'll be later on. Probably didn't succeed. It depends. But you will be using this one for your attacks, your skills, pretty much anything that the DM says roll for it, you're going to need this one. It is the literal most important dice out of all of them. Next, we have our 12-sided dice. Once again, you can tell because the biggest number is 12. I really like this dice, but I never get to use it. Reason being is because I never get to use a great axe. And normally that's what it's used for. Great axes and some certain spells. It can also be used by the DM to determine how many days have passed. If they so choose to do it that way, then they most certainly can. But for the most part, it is used as damage. Next, we have our 10-sided dice. 10-sided dice is, again, mostly used for damage. This being, normally, either your longsword when you're wielding it with 2 hands, or it is for your Eldritch Blast, or your Firebolts, and a whole bunch of other really basic spells that you come across. If you were to take this one and this one together, then it becomes a percentile dice. Essentially, when you roll both of them together, you have the big number, which is this one here, 70, and the small one, which I rolled a 1, putting them together to make a 71. Percentile dice are used on random things. Off the top of my head, I can think of Sorcerer's Wild Magic. Other than that, I really don't know how often it gets used, other than finding out random loot, and that's normally the DM's job. 8-sided dice, which is a really cool looking dice. Hopefully it's pretty easy to find, as it looks like a bloody diamond. This one is normally used for your long swords when you're wielding it with one hand, and other spell damage, as well as a lot of other different weapons. If I remember correctly, the rapier also uses a D8 for its damage. Next, you have your 6-sided dice. I'm sure that everyone has seen this if they've ever played Yahtzee, or really any other dice game that requires a 6-sided dice. It's the same thing, you roll it. Oh wow, I actually got a 6. Very nice. This one is, again, also used for, like, short swords, other spells, and blah 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 blah. Lastly, we get to the most annoying dice that pretty much everyone doesn't use. It's used for only a few things, which is getting your money at the beginning of creating your character, and call drops. You just leave it there laying on the ground and it hurts just as bad as Legos. Or if you're so happen to be using a dagger or magic missile, then you will be using the 4-sided dice. So, as I said, this one is the most important one, and then the rest of them are typically used for some form of damage. It can also be used by the DM to determine like how many days have gone by. These can be used for a number of things, of like what percentage this could occur. Also, I have seen Daigo use this to determine how much money a certain item is going to be worth in a shop. Though these are only used for damage and the like, you can also use them for a variety of other things, dependent on how it is that you are wanting to use them. I am still not quite used to the teleportation spell. Anyways, I hope that really helped out at least a little bit with your understanding as to what the dice are. We will be going over a dice a little bit further into the arc that we are currently doing, as dice are going to be the most important thing to determine basically anything and everything that has to do with Dungeons and Dragons. But anyways, I hope that you all enjoyed this video, and we will see you all in the next show. Goodbye.